I sleep, wake, eat, breathe Nigerian. Everything that I do revolves around nation building and Nigeria.
Where did your passion for nation building come about?
So I started to listen to people like John Maxwell, Robin Sharman, Jim Rohn, and a couple of others. But they were all outside of Nigeria. And I'm like, are people not doing this sort of things in Nigeria? I asked myself that question again. And there was a particular man's name that stood out for me because of the bio of that particular man. And his name is... Yes. The love for Nigeria that I got from him, it's immeasurable. I think for me, nation building is a calling. It's not an ambition. It's not a career. It's a calling.
Daniel Otabor is the founder of Run for Nigeria, an organization that develops and deploys competent leaders in the political sphere in Nigeria. Also an author of the book Dear Leader, dedicated to helping individuals understand their leadership potential for national transformation. So obviously, I reached out and I saw the work you're doing with Run for Nigeria, and also your book Dear Leader.
Yes.
Right? So
yes,
it sounds like you are very big on community and change, and also expressing your ideas, with people to see how we could at least build Nigeria together. So from your perspective, because I like to ask people this, because I have, based on your social media and what you're putting out, I have a perception of what you're doing. But how do you view yourself in the work that you do and outside of the work that you do?
How do I view myself in my work, and how do I view myself outside of my work? That's an interesting question. So I view myself in my work as a catalyst. And what I mean by that is I am helping people realize who they are. I'm helping people understand that they have a part to play. I am reawakening in people's hearts their love for country and their love for making the country work. So I view myself in my work as a catalyst. Outside of my work, I think I'm a very chilled person. People think I'm a snob, right? Because I always put up a very hard look. Even it's recently that I started to make my social media presence have some little some little play, excitement. Before now, it was Nigeria, leadership, my book, nothing that would suggest that I have a life outside of nation building.
Yeah.
But that's because I sleep, wake, eat, breathe Nigerian. So everything that I do revolves around nation building and Nigeria. So it's hard for people to see me outside of that, except you're in my close circle. You almost would not know that I have a life. I actually have an amazing life outside of my work in nation building. Nation building is also amazing, but I'm just saying that I have an exciting life outside of nation building. Yeah.
So what describe that life?
So I have a very small circle, and this is not, people will say I have a small circle and it's not what it is. Actually, I have a very, very small circle. I can count my friends in one hand, my close friends. But interestingly, I know a lot of people. I know a lot of people in different communities. So if I go to any social gathering, for example, that doesn't look like a nation building gathering, I know people there. And that's because of how much I am open to meeting people. I see human beings as nations. And as a nation builder, human beings being nations means that I have to be interested in human beings, right? And so I know a lot of people. but like I said, I have a very small circle of friends. So my life, when I say my life is exciting, it's going out with friends. It's maybe watching a movie, which I just started doing recently. I struggle to finish a movie.
Which one? Which one are you watching now?
Currently watching Blacklist.
Blacklist.
Blacklist is so good, so good. It's a series. I'm currently watching Blacklist. It's so good. You should. Have you seen it? You should try and see it if you haven't seen it.
I haven't heard of it. Let me add
so
it.
Good.
Let me add Blacklist to my list.
Yeah, nice one. Let me add Blacklist to my list. Nice. It's a good movie. It's a good movie. My kind of movies are always brain. They would always make you think. They'll help you think. I recently started watching animations. That is to take my mind off the serious movies that I watch. Just watch animations. It helps again with my creativity, because I love creative things. I love things that are creative. I love things that when I'm like, how do you think about that? So animations help me appreciate people's creativity. Yes.
Okay. So it sounds like your life outside of the work you do is, well, you have a small circle, yes, but then you also interact with a lot of people because you want to learn as much as you can from them.
Absolutely. Yes.
So nation building, you talked about eating, sleeping, breathing, nation building, and Nigeria.
Yes. Yes.
And also described yourself as a catalyst. So, like, obviously, chemistry, catalyst speeds up the reaction, all that stuff. But, like, where did your passion for nation building come about? And, how did it come?
That's another good question. How did my passion for nation building, how did it start? Where did it come from? So, I think for me, nation building is a calling. It's not an ambition. It's not a career. It's a calling. In my journey to discovering my purpose, I realized that was my purpose, nation building. And interestingly, when I was in school, I was this guy who was a people's person. I was the faculty president. The vice chancellor knew me. Deans knew me. Everyone knew me in school, right? But before that time, I was just this happy-go-lucky guy. And one day, my sister called me and said, "Hey, bro, how you doing? How's school?" I'm like, "Oh, school is good." And she said, "I can't wait for you to be done with school so that I can come and live with you in Lagos." Interestingly, she lives with me right now.
Yeah.
But this was like years ago. And it dawned on me that there were people in the house waiting for me to be done with school, to have a life, a meaningful life, so that they can rely and lean on me.
Okay.
Prior to that time, I had an understanding. I'm the first child, so I knew that I had a responsibility. But it wasn't just so clear to me that they were already planning for me in that sense. So when that call ended, I said to myself, what am I doing right now actively that will ensure that I'm on the path that can help me have a life that my sisters, my brother can lean on? So I started to listen to, people like John Maxwell, Robin Sharma, Jim Rohn, and a couple of others. But they were all Westerners. They were all white men. They were all outside of Nigeria.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what about, are people not doing this? I made this sort of things in Nigeria. I asked myself that question again. And I went to the internet and I did like a Google search to say top 5, top 10 leadership experts, purpose-driven people in Nigeria and all that stuff. And a couple of people came outside. And there was a particular man's name that stood out for me because of the bio of that particular man. And his name is Fela Durotoye. Yes.
Okay. Wait, I have to stop you there because
I know.
So
I know.
I read one of his books. This was when I was in primary school. Actually, I was maybe 10. Actually, I was like 9, and one of my teachers, because I was one of those students that if I put my mind to it, I would do it.
Yes.
But I generally was just like, I don't want to stress myself. So I think I was 9 and primary 5 or so. And my teacher was like, okay, if you come first 3 in class, I'll give you, if you're first, I'll give you this book. If you're second, I'll give you this. If you're third, I'll give you this. And so me, I was not even in top 3. But then I was like, you know what? That book, I want that book. And the book was 17 Secrets of High Flying Students.
High Flying Students.
By fella. That's the book. And obviously, I worked my way and got the book. And so that's somebody that I look up to. So that's why when he said fella, I was like,
Yes. I know. He's done amazing things for Nigeria and for the world. Now look at the story, Joshua. See, when I met Fela Durotoye after the search, right? And I said, okay, this man looks like someone I would love to be close to. Now, I schooled in Benin Republic, by the way. And I was in school, like I said, when I did this search. And like you, when I put my mind to something, I do it. I said to myself, I am going to meet this man. I've seen his videos on YouTube. People seem to be happy when they hear him speak. People seem to come alive when they hear him speak. And I said, I'm going to meet this man. But what am I going to do to meet this man? I have to be someone of value to attract someone of value. That's the way it works. And I said, okay, what does this man do that I can contribute to that will make him see the value in me? And guess what? He was doing something he had a company called Gemstone.
Yeah.
Right? And Gemstone is a nation building and leadership organization. They have chapters across universities. They have across states in Nigeria and across countries. And I said to myself, I am going to be the one to bring a chapter of the Gemstone Leadership Club to another country and a school outside of Nigeria. And I did that. And we celebrated the first year anniversary in that school outside of Nigeria. So it was amazing. So the man was like, who's this guy? Like, where's this guy from? And when I was done with school, I came back to Nigeria and I said, I want to work with him. And I started working with him as, I would call it, I wasn't an intern per se, but yeah, that was what it is for me. And in less than 3 months of working in the organization as just a normal staff intern, I became his PA in less than 3 months, right? And I learned so much from him, so much. The love for Nigeria that I got from him, it's immeasurable. I saw someone who truly loved Nigeria.
Yeah.
I knew that I love Nigeria, but I saw someone who mirrored that. And I'm like, yes, that's it. So my love for Nigeria grew, and I dug deep into myself to say, yes, now what's my role going to be in nation building? And that's how it all started for me as a nation builder. Yes.
So it sounds like it started out with you're the firstborn. I'm the first one too, so I can relate to
nice.
Feeling like, okay, you have people that are looking up to you, and then trying to develop yourself. Actually, let me use this word for the context of this conversation. Try to build yourself. Yes. And then in the process of building yourself, you are like, you discover people who you were like, okay, who are other people that are doing something similar in Nigeria?
Yes.
And then you ended up finding Fela and, being able to work with him. And that grew your love for Nigeria and nation building.
Absolutely.
Okay. So it sounds like you're someone that's constantly learning something new based on what you've said. What's what new thing are you learning now that you would like to share with
Right
somebody?
now,
Whether it's in the past week or the past month.
speed reading.
Speed reading, okay.
Yes.
Explain.
Yes. So there was a year in 2013, I read 102 books. I was in school, so I had that time in 2013. But recently, I've been super busy, right? And I love to read. I really love to read. My room, you will find lots of books in my room. You would even find more books than you find shoes. You will find more books. I have more books than any other thing in my room. And so I'm saying to myself, I need to start to read a lot of books, read more, because nowadays I read like one book in a month, and I have lots of books that I need to read. So that's why I'm learning speed reading. I started learning that recently. So I've been watching lectures on how to read fast and all that.
So how do you read fast?
I'm still learning, but I think what you do is that you try and, so if there are so many stories in the book, just try and you can just tell when this person is just trying to tell you a story, and just try and find the key points that you're looking for. Look at that and just highlight it, read those key points. You can come back to read to enjoy the book, but if you want to learn something, just quickly look for those things and learn. And you don't have to read from beginning to the end. Just find like the ones you want to learn in between the book, and then just read that one.
Okay, so as opposed to like reading like word by word, is like, okay, let's zoom out and get the big picture.
Yes, that sort of thing.
Okay. No, I love that. Nigeria.
You talked about, oh my goodness.
You said that's by the way. I said this is not.
Nigeria.
But I want to start with, because we talk about the Nigeria of yesterday, we talk about the Nigeria of today, and then in context of nation building, we talk about the Nigeria of tomorrow.
Yes.
I want to explore all three, but starting with the Nigeria of yesterday, what do you remember about your time growing up in Nigeria? And how were things then? From what you can remember, from what you maybe stories you've heard, how were things then?
Growing up in Nigeria, like I said, my parents are not wealthy people, but they're not poor, right? So there was roof over my head. I had a comfortable bed to sleep. I could eat 3 square meals a day and some snacks in between. I would say I was from the middle class family,
right?
Growing up, and I was in between the wealthy guys and the poor people. I was aspiring to be among the wealthy people, right? Whilst I saw what the poor people were suffering. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
So that Nigeria, you could afford to buy things even with your menial pay. That Nigeria, you could afford to buy things even with your menial pay. Poor people could eat in that Nigeria. Poor people could eat in that Nigeria. Poor people were not wretched. Let me use that word. Poor people were people who just didn't have enough money, enough resources. And so they had to cut cost, but they could survive. They could survive in that Nigeria. Now, power was not stable, power was not great, healthcare was not great. It's not as though it's great right now, but people could live, right?
Yeah.
So that Nigeria, that's the Nigeria that I grew up in, and the one that I heard of when I was young was the one where people would go to universities, graduate and have a first class and get a job almost immediately. The one that I was also told about is the one where people would leave school if they graduate with top in first class and top in their class. They almost get an automatic scholarship to go on school outside of Nigeria. I'm talking Oxford, Harvard. I'm talking Cambridge, right? That was the Nigeria that I was told about. So in a sense, that Nigeria was there and it was declining because I didn't see that Nigeria. I only heard of that Nigeria. And I still haven't seen that Nigeria. In fact, that Nigeria has disappeared. That's in the past. Now, what is right now is that you would even leave school and not have jobs. So, but that's the question. Let's take it in phases.
One step
That's
at
the
a
first.
time.
Yes. Yes.
So okay, so it sounds like the Nigeria you heard of,
And
X or 1+1 to an extent equals 2. Meaning you went to school, you could find a job.
yes.
And the Nigeria you grew up in or you remember was one where, at least you remember the people who were not wealthy or poor could still afford certain things with planning.
Yes.
And so from the way you're talking, and obviously from what we've seen, that's not the Nigeria we have today.
It's not Nigeria. How about it's not Nigeria?
So where is Nigeria today?
Where is Nigeria today? To answer that question with one line or with one line, where's Nigeria today? With just one word, I would say nowhere. Just one word, and I will explain what I mean by that. You see, Nigeria is a blessed country.
Yeah.
We're blessed with human resources. We are blessed with mineral resources. We're blessed with natural resources. We are blessed. And from time past, people envision Nigeria that in the next couple of years, it will be one of the most powerful nations in the world. I'll give you an example with what's happening. Thankfully, it's the Olympics happening.
Yeah.
We have not won one gold, one reasonable medal right now. And it is just because of the negligence of the government and those that have been given the task to take care of our athletes. Our cyclist, for example, does not have a bicycle to practice with. She's asking from other countries. There is no one taking care of her. Right? So we are nowhere. We are the giant of Africa is sleeping. Right? And then you say to yourself, what exactly is happening? It's simple. Bad leadership. Right? The corruption in the system it's so bad that you can see the effect in the daily life of Nigerians. Everywhere you turn, you can see it. I was saying to a friend of mine a few days ago that the beggars on the streets have increased 1,000-fold. 1,000-fold. There are young boys that you would see. I live in Lagos State.
Yeah.
I live on the island. The number of young boys you see begging by the traffic lights has increased. These young boys, I say to myself when I see them, what's their aspiration? What are they thinking about? What's their greatest goal? What would they grow up to become? Whilst I do not have kids right now, I am going to have kids, right? And if we have more of these young boys who are on the streets, not educated, begging for money, who in a sense would most likely graduate into taking arms and robbing, what society are my kids going to grow up with those people above them? So where's Nigeria? Nigeria is nowhere. And I can go on and on and on and on. And it's a shame. It's a shame because the brightest of us are leaving us right now. The best of Nigerians are leaving. You would see people selling their properties, families selling their properties, parents selling their properties to send their children out of Nigeria. It's happening. People are leaving. People are escaping. That's the word, not even leaving. People are escaping Nigeria. Nigeria is a country that's not a war-torn zone, but looks like a war-torn zone. There's no war happening in Nigeria, but it feels like a war-torn zone. because of how people are trying to escape. It's sad. It's sad. It's sad.
And because you brought the example of the cyclists, right?
Yes.
That was not even the only case. The one of the, I think the 100 meters where they forgot to enter her name into the competition.
Oh my goodness.
So
yes.
she had to skip out on that simply because the people that were supposed to do their job did not do their job.
Negligence. And that person gets paid to do that job. Yeah.
So, okay. Protests happening, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because of a lack of leadership and negligence on all levels, local, states, national.
All levels, yes.
If you were, a leader on the local level, state level, or national level, what are things that you would do to set Nigeria on the right track to get to what it could be?
That's a very interesting question because I think the first most important thing for me as an individual is to improve the education system in Nigeria. You see, currently we are training people who are going to become employees. And what's worse, we are training them for a market that's not available. If you were training employees, at least you would assume that there are jobs that will take on these employees.
Yeah.
But we don't have those jobs. We should be training employers of labor. People who can be self-sufficient. We don't have that. We should also invest heavily in skill acquisition, vocational skills, things that people can learn and earn money from legitimately, right? We have the numbers. Skills like plumbing, bricklaying, carpentry, those skills, tailoring, those skills that people can learn and earn from, everyday skills that people need, right? People need plumbers, people need carpenters, people need painters, people need these people, right? Train these people at the local level. Those that do not want to go to school, train them, give them skills that they can use to live and earn money from. Not giving them bag of rice, not giving them rice. Rice is not the problem of Nigeria. Everything is not rice, right? You need to invest heavily in human capital development. You have to do it, right? And there is also the digital aspect of things, tech. People should start to learn those digital skills at those levels. From primary school, so that by the time they are done with university, they are already self-sufficient. They can create things for themselves. They can create jobs, right? And if they create jobs, they are, in a sense, going to employ more people who would then live better lives. You get what I mean? We are currently operating what I call big government. Everyone relies on the government. No government should have to go through that. But Nigeria political system thrives on big government. We also need to cut the cost of governance. We need to cut the cost of governance. We also need to improve the transparency in governance. We have to. And government needs to be, the government should be accountable to the people, right? So what will I do? I would try my best to improve the governance in my states. If I was a governor, for example, in my local government, if I was a local government chairman, and if I was the president in the country, right? Improve governance, be accountable to the people, improve the transparency of governance, cut the cost of governance, right?
So it sounds like there are two components of cost of governance. There's the formal
Yes.
cost, and there's the informal cost, which is relates to the transparency you're talking about. So formal, obviously, salaries, allowances, all those things, maintenance of staff and all that. And then the informal is the one I'm sure you're referring to in terms of transparency and corruption. So, like, what would it look like practically to reduce cost of governance on those two levels?
So formally, right, I am of the opinion that there's no reason why a senator cannot be a part-time staff. You don't have to work full-time. You don't have to. You can have other things you're doing, right? I don't see any reason why you have to work as a full-time senator. I don't see any reason. Even as a rep member, I don't see any reason. I don't see any reason why you should be earning millions of naira with so much allowance for this, allowance for that, allowance for this, car maintenance, this. I don't see any reason why. I don't see any reason why a public servant cannot take a public vehicle. I don't see any reason why. I don't see any reason why a public servant should have 7 convoy, policemen. I don't see any reason why. Those are things that increases the cost of governance in that sense, right? Because you have to fuel those cars. You have to buy those cars. They will start meets. You see what I'm saying? So there's no need. And interestingly, I'm going to paint a picture for you, right? Imagine you protecting yourselves from your electorate. Think about it. Think about
what way?
it. So you people, the people that voted for you, when you are going to them, you are going in with so much policemen, security agency. You are going with why? What's the problem? Are you going to why? What are you running from? What are you scared of? Because they know that they are not doing their job. So for that reason, they need to protect themselves from the people. So they spend so much money trying to get away from the people that they are governing. How does that make sense? The people you are meant to serve, you separate yourself from them by spending their money, taxpayers' money, to get away from them. Just make that make sense. So the first thing that I would do, I will reduce the cost of governance. You can survive on one official car. You can. If you want to live good, we can do 2. You can survive on 2 official cars. You can, right? You want to look at every ministry, every agency. You want to have a transparent system that almost monitors what they are doing, right? You can see there's a centralized system that gives you reports. You want to ensure that those things, because there's the amount of ghost workers in our ministries.
How many?
It's ridiculous. I don't even have an exact number, but it's in their hundreds. There was a find that came out recently, and they saw that there were ghost workers from years ago, from the early 90s. People who have even left the service system, they are still getting paid. They're getting paid. How do we not know that? How? There's someone benefiting from that amount of money, I tell you. There's someone benefiting from that. Someone.
Education cuts the cost of governance.
Improve security.
Improve security. And
Law,
strengthen transparency.
Therefore, yes. You have to improve the security of the people, because a people that do not feel safe cannot actively engage in economic activities.
Yeah,
they can't. The reason why there's a ridiculous price hike in commodities, in the things that people eat, is because farmers are scared to go to the farm. They're scared, right? You have to also improve infrastructure. Transporting tomato from the north to the south takes days, and tomato is a perishable product, a perishable commodity. If you can improve infrastructure to, in a sense, reduce the travel time and the amount of money that I would spend to transport it, it will reduce the cost of this product. Now, what happens with tomato, for example, is that by the time it gets to the south, half of the tomato is bad. The other half becomes expensive because I need to recuperate my costs.
From the damaged goods.
Everything is connected on damaged goods. Everything is connected. And mind you, those transporting it from the north, before they get to the south, they have tipped so many security agencies, or agents rather, in form of bribes. Aside from those agents, or those policemen and whatever it is, there are people who we call agberos.
Yeah.
You have to tip them. All of these things are going to go back to the price of the commodity in the market, because I'm going to get my money back. First things first, I couldn't go to the farm because of insecurity, but I managed to go to the farm. I must have, in a sense, paid for security to take me there, or whatever it is that I try to do just to be safe, to go and harvest my product. Now I have done that. To transport it, the cost of transportation is expensive. It takes time. My goods get bad. I pay people on the road in terms of bribe. So I have to get my running costs back. What about
price of? Oh no, go ahead.
No, please. So what are you gonna say?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, even price of fuel.
Yes.
That
was
also plays a huge role.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it does because I do not have stable power supply, so I have to buy diesel. It's all interconnected. What bad governance does, it's all interconnected. It affects everyone.
In terms of, because it's sometimes when I think about it, I think, especially being, because I grew up in Nigeria, I grew up in Akwa Ibom.
Nice.
And so, having lived in Nigeria for most of my life at this point, and then seeing what Nigeria, or at least where Nigeria is now. Because like you said, like the Nigeria I grew up in as well, I wasn't from a wealthy family, I also wasn't from a poor family. Middle class, if we wanted something, we planned ahead and we could afford it. So
yes.
That was how I grew up as well in Akwa Ibom. And so, like, seeing how things have changed in Nigeria for me, it's like it disheartening. I don't even know if that word even
disheartening.
Carries the weight of what I'm trying to convey. It doesn't carry the weight of.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, and sometimes I'm like, okay, what ways? And I think that's one of the reasons why I even decided to start this platform, because my goal for this is to go beyond just podcasting, right? It's like, okay, different initiatives here and there that can support in whatever way possible. And so I want to touch on something that you mentioned. You talked about going to school in Benin Republic, right?
Yes.
And I'm curious. I know, for context, right now, at least from my understanding, I don't think we have the best, like Nigeria has the best relationships with our neighbors, Niger, Mali, Burkina Faso, especially after we threatened to invade and then didn't invade through ECOWAS.
That was a joke. That was a complete joke.
It's like, and you have to think about it. These countries are basically, obviously there's trade that goes on between these countries. There's also security partnerships that go on between these countries and us. And so if we're not on good terms, that could also affect us as a country, right?
Yes.
But how do you see partnerships with other neighboring countries enabling a stronger Nigeria and a stronger Africa as well?
You see, our international relations amongst African countries needs to improve. you know, again, in the Nigeria that I grew up in, I remember a friend of mine lost his dad to peacekeeping. I think was he in Liberia? I think it was in Liberia, yes. That's the Nigeria the Nigeria that would show up for other African countries. The Nigeria that other African countries will wait to hear what they say before they act. The Nigeria that when other, world power is trying to, in a sense, influence decisions in other African countries, Nigeria can step in and say, hey, no, you can't do that. You can't do that. You can't do that. That's the Nigeria that I heard of, right? That I was told stories about. That's the Nigeria that I believe in. Not the Nigeria that you say you want to invade a country, a sovereign country, where the people were excited about the coup against a democratically elected government. You didn't think to ask yourself, hold up, why would the people be happy about a coup? Okay, why is the president, who one would say was democratically elected, not doing good things for the people? But you can't say that, because guess what? Even you as a country, Nigeria, you are not living the right way. You are not governing the right way. So you don't have any moral
you'll be hypocritical.
obligation. It will be hypocritical. And that is the reason why when the president made a statement, nobody respected it. No one respected it. My Nigeria, really? I speak as a president against a coup, and it seems as though I'm saying rubbish. My Nigeria, a Nigerian president, the most populous black nation in the world. What? How did we get here? How did we get here? We need to ask ourselves questions, though. We need to. I know. It's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah, I'm thinking about. I haven't read the book, but the name of there was a country, right?
There was a country.
I haven't read it,
read the
but
book.
the name alone.
I've read it.
The name alone
There
is
was a
like
country. Yes,
like
I've read it.
we don't want to. I would hope that we never get to a place where we say there was a country.
Yes,
basically, it's like
yes. I know.
There was a Nigeria that we remember that used to be like this, right? That was obviously it's not like even that Nigeria was perfect, like because we look back on it and it wasn't perfect because think about it. We've had over the past few decades, we've had 3 different from Jonathan or Yar'Adua to Jonathan to Buhari to Tinubu, right? And it seems like people keep saying the previous one was better. The previous one was better. And we don't want it to be continually saying the previous, So it's like I would hope that things will only get better from here.
That's what it should look like.
And
that's
Yeah, I guess I want to focus on the Nigeria of tomorrow with that sense of hope.
Yes.
So you're doing 2 things to contribute to the Nigeria of tomorrow. At least, you're probably doing 1,000 things, but the 2 that I've recognized and seeing is your work with the book, obviously, Dear Leader.
Yeah, Dear Leader.
As well as Run for Nigeria. So Dear Leader to basically inform people on how they can contribute to national development and transformation.
Yes.
And Run for Nigeria, developing and deploying leaders, right?
Yes. Yes.
Tell us about Dear Leader. Like, what was your thought process when you decided to write that book?
So my thought process when I was writing Dear Leader was simple. I'm of the opinion, and I know that I'm correct, that everyone is a leader. And leaders take responsibility. Leadership is not just a title. It's not just a title, it's a responsibility. So when I call you a leader, I'm saying, hey, you are a responsible human being that should be doing something worthwhile. As long as you breathe air, you are a leader, because you come with an assignment, you come with a purpose, right? You become a leader. Now, everyone is a leader does not mean everyone leads. They're separate things, okay? But everyone is a leader. You start to lead when you discover your purpose and you are living purposefully. It is people see you living out your purpose and they follow you. Leadership. People do not follow people that are not going anywhere. And you can't have a purpose and not be going somewhere. Especially when you know what your purpose is. So when you discover your purpose and you are living out your purpose, right? People start to see, I like what this guy is doing. I like what this lady is doing. I like what this person is doing. I want to be close to them. I want to mirror them. I want them to be my mentor. I want them to be my role model. That's the way it works. So then people say, that person is a leader. Now think about those that you call leaders, right? You call them leaders because they are doing something. Right? They're doing something. Everyone can lead. Everyone is a leader. Now, but we have been told for the longest of time that leadership is about position. It's not about position. You can lead from a position. You can lead from anywhere. In fact, the first person you should lead is yourself. That's the first person you should lead, is yourself. When you wake up and say, I am going to do A, B, C, D today, you are acting out a leadership way of living. That's leadership. That's leadership. So I wrote that book and said, hey, everyone is a leader. And it was like a letter. When I said, dear leader, I was talking to you like as an individual. Dear leader, these are the things you should be doing. These are the things that will help you discover who you are. This is how you should act out your life. Dear leader, it was a call of, it was a heart-to-heart call.
Yeah.
You know when you say dear friend, right? That was what it was about, yes. That was what that book was about.
Okay,
yeah.
so it sounds like it was, a letter to one, people who are already leading, and then two, people who may not be exercising their leadership potential yet. To say, look, if you are doing something, naturally people will follow, because people want to align with people who are doing something. And so Run for Nigeria is basically developing those leaders that you talked about, or at least you were talking to in that book, Dear Leader.
Yes. Yes.
So like what do you hope to achieve with those two things? Obviously the book and then Run for Nigeria.
Everyone will not be in governance. We need people who would go into entrepreneurship, people who would help the economy. We need people in the judiciary system. We need people across board in civil societies. So the book took care of that, to have leaders in those positions in different sectors in Nigeria, across Nigeria, right? Run for Nigeria now says, okay, now develop people specifically for governance. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So whilst I have written a book that will take care of leaders in different sectors, there is Run for Nigeria that now develops leaders for governance. So people who will be ministers, commissioners, local government chairmen, governors, presidents, senators, rep members, all of these things is what Run for Nigeria is now doing, to develop leaders who would then now take on political positions. Leaders of character, leaders of courage, leaders that are competent, leaders that are disciplined, leaders that have integrity, leaders that have a heart of service.
Yeah.
That's why I want to serve the people. Those are the kind of leaders that I'm developing with Run for Nigeria.
So what does that development process look like?
So the first thing is, again, education, educating these leaders on what it means to be a nation builder. Number one, educating these leaders on what it means to be in governance, what governance really means. All right. It's also then deploying them to communities to do community service. You don't have to wait till you get into a political position to serve. In fact, your journey should start from serving without a position. So that's like the development process. Now I have educated them. We've educated the people on what it means to be a nation builder, or what it means to be a service leader, or what it means to be a good governance advocate. Now they are then deployed to their communities to do community service whilst they are preparing for governance. Now we would encourage them to register for a political party, to participate in elections, to volunteer for those who are currently campaigning, if it's not time for them to, in a sense, run for office, to get their PVCs and advocate for people to get their PVCs, to almost look at the Constitution and say, what can we change, what can we improve, what can we kick out? These are the things that it encompasses, all of these things for Run for Nigeria.
Okay, so for someone, let's say me, for example, if I wanted to be a part of Run for Nigeria,
yes,
or anyone who wanted to be, like, what does that process look like for, beginning that involvement?
So the first thing would be to register your interest.
Okay.
All right. However, we haven't even gotten to, so where we are right now for Run for Nigeria is that we are going on a campus tour. So first of all, awaken that nation building responsibility in the hearts of people, that consciousness that they have a responsibility to Nigeria. Afterwards, we, in a sense, have their details, do like a mentorship for them, bring in experts in these areas, in governance, leadership, advocacy, activism, and all of this, just to train them, mentor them. And then we, again, like I said, give them projects. So there are steps. The first step is to enlist, register your interest, right? Then we go through like a process where we then, in a sense, applications come in, we look at these applications, we say to ourselves, should this person scale? Where should we put this person? Where should we put this person? And because we do not have the capacity right now to take lots of people, so we do 50 to 100 people per time, right? When we, as we go, we would then have it in the thousands. But right now, 50 to 100 people per time. You mentor them, you train them, you give them opportunities to volunteer. You put that consciousness in them that they have to be responsible citizens of the country and their community.
Okay. And so I'm guessing the link is on your Instagram, right? Like your Instagram.
Yes, it's there.
Okay. Yeah, I'll probably get it from you and link it here.
Fantastic. Yes.
So how much hope do you have in things changing, especially when, it can seem like people and citizens are crying, but they're not being listened to despite their cries?
So my hope for Nigeria lies in when I see Nigerians pressing hard, irrespective of the decadence in the political system. So I see myself, I see you, and I'm hopeful for Nigeria, right? That's where my hope is. My hope has long left the political system. My hope is now in the people that I see thriving, that I see doing things in their own space, that I see trying to advocate for good governance, that I see trying to form a group. That's where my hope is right now. So my hope in Nigeria is in the people. It's in the people. I often say something, and it is this: Nigeria is not a great country. Nigeria is not a great country. Nigeria has the potential to be a great country, but Nigeria is not a great country. When you look at the metrics that are used to measure great countries, we are not on the top 5. Healthcare, security, governance, infrastructure, education, right? Judicial system. All of these things, when you measure Nigeria with these things, where are we in terms of good governance? Where are we in terms of quality education? Where are we in terms of security? Where are we in terms of our judicial system? Where are we in terms of our democratically elected officials? Where are we in infrastructure? When you look at these things, you realize that Nigeria is not a great country, but Nigeria has the potential to be a great country. And that's the reason why you see, because we've been told over and over again that Nigeria is a great country, we have now become people who complain because you expect greatness from a great country.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So when you are traveling by road and you are seeing bad road, you are saying, why is the road bad now? Because somewhere in your mind, you are living in a great country. When you go to the hospital and there's no lights in the hospital, you're wondering what's happening now? Because somewhere in your mind, a great country should have good health care. You see what it is?
Yeah.
But that's not the case.
I mean, if you think about it too, is like,
yes,
you have the country component, right? Where it's like, okay, Nigeria should be. This is where Nigeria is, and this is where it should be, right?
Yes.
And I think the reason, to an extent, why people have that expectation, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think is a couple of things. One, the resources, whether it's natural resources that we have through, lithium. We haven't really explored lithium, which could be very great in terms of technology. But petroleum, culture and creative industry. I think that's a very big one there.
Yes.
And so I think when people see the different resources that we have, that's one. And then two, when they see the talent, like the people that, okay, we have one of the best doctors, in the world. Like,
yes.
But then it's like the system isn't making it conducive for them to practice in the country to make it a great country.
You're not wrong. Yes.
We have some of the best minds in terms of, creativity as well. And to an extent, creativity is at least, I feel like it's not as tightly controlled as other areas. And so that's why you can see a lot of people thriving in that area.
That's it.
Because there's nothing that's really clamping down on that.
Holding them down.
Yes. And so it's like when people see that we have, it's not that we don't have the people. It's not that we don't have the resources. We do. But how do you, so.
And that's the frustration. What you said right now is so correct. Imagine the sector where you do not have government control succeeds. The creative industry, for example. Our artists are shutting down O2 Arena. Thousands of people are coming to listen to our artists. They're going on tours, right? Like you said, because there is little or no government influence over that, the people are succeeding. And guess what? In the Olympics, right? The team that has gone far with the women basketball team, the women basketball team representing Nigeria, they beat Canada. I think they were limited in the quarterfinals by the US by 74-80, thereabouts. I can't remember the score. Guess what? The 90% of those people, though Nigerians, did not grow up in Nigeria. So we have the people, but we do not have the policies that can help the people unleash their potential.
I would even argue that I would argue that it's not even policy. The reason why I say it's not policy
No, yes, please.
is because the reason why I say it's not policy is because I think okay, you can turn on the news, whether it's whatever news channel you're looking at, and say, oh, this policy has been passed. Oh, this policy has been passed.
Oh,
but
yes.
it's the implementation.
I see what you mean.
It's the implementation of the policy. Because what policy does is it gives people hope. Policy has come. But then, are you going to follow through with that policy? Is the main thing.
Yep. Yes, absolutely. 100%. You're correct. You're correct. So so you see, like you said, people have expectations of Nigeria, for Nigeria, and from Nigeria, and they're not seeing it. So you see Nigerians, brilliant minds, amazing people doing wonderful things as individuals, but as a collective, we're failing. So you're wondering what's happening here. So you can see that the potential is there. And it gets worse when you see the amount, the money that is being called that was stolen, that was looted. You're wondering, what's going on here? People have universities in their pockets. People have hospitals in their bank accounts. People have other people's safety buried on the ground in terms of the money that would have improved it. You have thousands and millions of dollars and naira being stolen, the people's commonwealth being stolen, right? And you hear it in the news and you're wondering, what's going on here now? What's happening? So that expectation of you saying, we have the potential to be great, but people don't understand this right now. People think we are a great country. No. You're not a great country. You're not a great country. Not yet. Not yet. Not yet. But you have the potential to be great. And that is why you and I have to start saying to people, we have the potential to be great. And these are the ways to unlock that potential, to then have a great country where your kids, where you feel safe, where you have a job, where when you are sick and you can go to the hospital, you'll be taken care of, where the policies are human-centric, where you can go to school and create jobs, you can go to school and be employable. That country is possible. It's possible. That's the great country that we can become.
One of the things I think about when you say that, especially as it relates to job creation, is Nigeria has a strong young population. So if you look at Nigeria, I think 70% of Nigerians are under the age of 30. If you look at other countries like Asia and even the United States, one of the struggles, right, is that their population is aging. There's an aging population. So what that does is it decreases productivity, right? Which could affect the GDP and the economy. And so that's why a lot of some of these countries, albeit they don't have perfect immigration policies, but that's why some of them are opening up and saying, actually, come and work for us, because we don't have the talent. We don't have the young people. Like a lot of, most people are aging and older, right? You know, one could argue that that's due to maybe, you know, people choosing to have fewer kids and all that stuff. But Nigeria does not have that problem. Nigeria has the opposite, where it's like we have the talent. We have the people that are on that, 70% under the age of 30. So it means we have a younger population than most other nations.
Population, yes.
But we are not utilizing it.
We're not.
And so I was talking to one of my friends about this recently. And I was telling him how sometimes I just think about it and I get frustrated is not the right word. And the reason, anyways, when I said that, one of the things he said was, he pointed me back to, is it Ecclesiastes? There's something that's, I think Solomon said in Ecclesiastes about wisdom. Like basically, if you grow in wisdom, you get more frustrated. Something like that.
Because I see what you mean.
Yeah,
I don't because you know what should be, and that thing is not happening, and you're wondering why.
Yes.
Yes,
Because if
yes,
you don't
yes.
know what should be, you will still be frustrated, but it wouldn't be to the
Yes.
level
It won't
of
be that bad. Yes.
yeah.
I agree. Yes. That
But
happens to me a lot. That happens to me a lot because the more I'm aware of what is possible and I'm seeing that that is not happening in my country, the more I am frustrated. You see? So
yeah.
so the more educated you are as an individual and the more you know what should be obtainable, but that is not happening, you get frustrated. And interestingly, you a country like when I was in Benin Republic for about 4 or 5 years, we had 24/7 power supply. Benin Republic. Benin Republic. Benin Republic is not in the top 5 economies in Africa, but they have stable power supply. Nigeria has epileptic power supply. That's an example. So that alone should frustrate me.
I mean,
You
we
see
would
what I mean?
experience it today.
Yes, we did experience it today. So you see that, like you said, the more you grow in wisdom, the more you are almost frustrated by the foolishness that you see. That's the word.
Yeah. And also I want to say it's not like me, I'm wise. I'm just I'm learning. I'm still learning. I've not reached maybe you have reached, but
Wisdom is not wisdom is a continuous thing.
yeah.
The more you seek wisdom, the more you realize that there is so much more. There's so much more.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. My guy, I don't want to take up too much of your time.
I know.
In one sentence, how do you believe we can build the Nigeria of our dreams? Because that's what this platform is about.
How can we build the Nigeria of our dreams?
Yeah. Or the society, Nigeria and society of our dreams. Like, what do you think?
Okay. How can we build the Nigeria of our dreams? This is a good, wrapping up question. I think to build the Nigeria of your dreams would require Nigerians that are resilient in their pursuit of a functioning Nigeria and Nigerians that are driven by service to the country. To build the Nigeria of our dreams would require Nigerians who feel that they are responsible for the success of Nigeria. To build the Nigeria of our dreams would require people to stop waiting on the government to fix the things in their communities, at least the things that they can do right now where they are. And that's an example of what you're doing. So we need people like you to build the Nigeria of our dreams.
I appreciate that. And then in one sentence again, like what's something you wish more people knew about you and your work that maybe they don't currently know?
Maybe one thing that I wish more people knew about my work that they don't currently know. One thing I would say that my work is not driven by profitability, but service.
Okay. And then how can our audience contribute to that work of service that you're doing?
Truthfully, because this work of service needs to get to almost every part of Nigeria, we would need the resources we can get, especially as it concerns financial resources, volunteers, because again, to educate a people is expensive. To educate a people well is more expensive. Okay. And to also try and educate a people away from the current system is way, way expensive. So we would appreciate the resources that we can get in terms of finance to get this nation building conversation, this leadership development conversation to the nook and crannies of Nigeria, and to help Nigerians who are moved, who are controlled by hunger, to reduce that. Now, if people respond, hungry people respond to those who give them food. So if you can take away that wrong source of survival, you can then empower that person to live a meaningful life where they contribute to nation building in the right way. People get paid money to go and steal ballot boxes. And the reason why you can pay those people is because they don't even have that money in the first place.
Yeah.
They are not earning any money. They are hungry. So when you give them that money, they go and steal ballot boxes. But if you can take away that sort of hunger, poverty from the people, right, you can reduce the amount of people that are then stealing ballot boxes. As an example, yes.
Okay, definitely. No, my guy, I appreciate you taking out the time.
Thank you so much.
I know it's a Saturday. You could be sleeping,
Thank you so
you could
much.
be
Thank
resting.
you so much.
But
Thank you so much
I
for your
think I've learned a lot from just this conversation.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So if you got value from that noble conversation, you know what you can do? Let us know in the comment section, but also hit the like button. Why? Because it helps us reach more people and also get more guests like the amazing guests that you heard from today, so we can just keep it going. So yeah, go ahead and do that and do us a solid. Thank you very much.